Hello, it's Phillip Taylor from Richmond Green Chambers speaking. I'm looking at a book from Shaw & Son. I always said you can be sure with Shaws. This is another surefire winner, without a question. It's called The Control of Outdoor Advertising and Graffiti, and is written by Charles Miners, who's an expert in this particular area. I've given it a title, The Writing on the Wall for Planners. This is the flyer, and there's my Flickr reference and a review. This is the book itself. It's not a particularly heavy book. Runs to just nearly 500 pages. Excellent little index at the back, and at the front you've got various very detailed information about cases, various other things, useful footnotes, and quite a nice way in which the chapters are set out. As I said, it's quite a lightish book. A nice little cover too. You see the whole of it like that. I found it very interesting because there are a number of reasons why I think this is a book which many people in varied backgrounds will find helpful. Obviously, I've concentrated mainly on planners because as a member of the, well, part-time now member, if you like, of the planning bar, but a person who's been a councillor and chaired planning committee meetings and obviously been involved in inquiries, it's important. Because the point is, there's a whole different world out there. It's highly visible, yet not immediately noticed, unless of course you are directly involved in it. That's as a marketing consultant, covering a bit about the advertising outside, a counsellor, or I dare say a planning lawyer. I refer to the word outdoor advertising, of course, and graffiti, incorporated into the title of this excellent and popular new book. Initially I was a little nonplussed by the title, as it appeared to imply, however unintentionally, that outdoor display advertising and graffiti somehow equate, or are by inference opposite sides of the same coin. Being a pedantic frame of mind, I'm bound to say I beg to differ, for like it or loathe it, outdoor advertising is legal, graffiti isn't. We all know about that if we've been elected as I have, because it's a big issue with many people from actually all walks of life. Indeed, graffiti, which can be described as the urban scourge of our time, constitutes a criminal offence. Many people don't think that on certain fringes of our society. However, it involves, as it does, defacement and damage to property. So if you regard outdoor advertising in all its forms, posters, moving or non-moving, illuminated or non-illuminated signage, as a blight or a blot on the landscape, you'll like graffiti even less. And I know as a counsellor I've had a lot of personal cases involving very large displays, so I can understand feelings can run high. In contrast, of course, display advertising is subject to a number of statutory and voluntary controls, some of which pertain to the advertising industry as a whole, and which at least ensure that the visual message, or messages, and the images displayed are on the positive side of decency and hopefully truth. No false or fraudulent claims and all that sort of thing. Now, as the author Charles Miners observes, he says this, he says, control over the display of outdoor advertising in the UK has proved to be one of the great success stories of recent times. Optimistically, he adds that as a result there are few totally inappropriate advertising displays, and avoiding the visual clutter that's so evident in some other countries. And he goes on to observe in his preface, however, that the control of outdoor advertising must surely be one of the most over-litigated areas of planning law, and attributes this to a number of factors, including what he says as the perceived complexity of the statutory code, governing not just poster advertising but shop fronts, signs and all forms of displays. Obviously further legislation, he goes on to say, has been added in the last few years to deal with unauthorised advertising, graffiti and fly posting. I'm not actually going to talk about A-boards, which is also a problem in some of the more quaint streets in our older towns and villages, but that I say is covered well. So therefore these and hundreds of related issues are subjected to intense and logical examination in this excellent book, which, as the author puts it, aims to demystify all this, and it contains actually sort of appendices covering the Town and Country Planning Act of 1990, supplemented by the Antisocial Behaviour Act of 2003, the Clean Neighbourhoods and Environment Act 2005, and various London Local Authorities Acts, which of course is to be expected. It's a very useful manual for us. So let me conclude by saying this thorough and comprehensive guide to an often complicated subject is up to date as at the start of 2009, and will, in my view, be of an invaluable assistance to lawyers, academics, planning authorities and elected members, and certainly the advertising industry. So the writing is on the wall. Thank you very much. Bye bye.